Yeah. Hello everyone, welcome to this message. So I don't know what it is, but I've been very drawn to the color blue lately, and there's also like it's kind of peculiar that in the cards, like both these dresses are blue as well. So there may be correlation, I don't know. But so let's just see. So as we start our message, so we our first card is the Laum card, and then the next two cards are the Singer of Intuition and Luathas the Wild. And the overall energy to clarify this card here, the Laum, is unnatural. So um, it has perhaps Coca-Cola on it or like some kind of a fizzy drink, and it says unnatural underneath it. And then you have the King of Pentacles that goes with that. So what does this mean? So you are most definitely supported by God, because this is my card of like God saying like, yeah, it is what it is. It's just like I don't like it either. I sympathize with you, but it's just the way it is. And but I'm with you. I'm there for you. So you're not alone in this journey. So that's what this card means. And yeah, and so here you have the King of Pentacles, and he seems to be counting his money, perhaps, or he's worried about money. Although the King of Pentacles usually has great stability, has great financial stability, right? So that's kind of fascinating. But it looks quite, I don't know what his face is supposed to look like in terms of expression, but like he could be counting money, but he's bored by, maybe he's bored by counting money, perhaps. The King of Pentacles may be bored to be counting money. And I did notice that, so it could be a response from God. I did notice that at one point I said, "Peep it, I don't care about, I don't care about these limitations. Like I'm just gonna spend this money. I don't freaking care. You know, I couldn't be bothered. Just say it like that. I just literally couldn't be bothered, and I was angry about it, but I couldn't be bothered. So let's see. So it could have something to do with that, about that situation where maybe God is acknowledging that, like I know, and it could also be that something is like if you drink a fizzy drink, right? Like it doesn't digest very well, like it bubbles back up, right? So I do think that there may have been a situation. So like in my case, this would be in terms of a metaphor. This would be um like this whole situation that happened with, like, at the moment that you need to buy a lot of things, and then at that moment like the whole law changes, and yeah, it was kind of peeped up, and like it's still at times, like it still keeps on bubbling up in terms of it makes me angry, it makes me I'm just not okay with it. And there was like this moment in the, like, yesterday, the day before, I think the day before, perhaps, maybe yesterday, I don't know. There was a moment where I was like, I had to order things, and like I had to order like these last couple of things, and like it was like a super frustrating and annoying process because everything costs so much, and there were like moments that I was like, I'm never going to see this money back. That's pretty clear. Like what would have been like a sustainable vision is like it has become completely insane, completely undoable, and I was pissed off about it. And at the same time, I was like, I can't be bothered. I just do it anyway. I just don't give a peep anymore. Like I'm doing it anyway. So And maybe there is with this could be like coins, perhaps makes me think about coins here on the table. So it could be increasing somehow. Maybe there's something unnatural about this. I don't know. Something isn't right. Let's just say it like that. Something ain't right about it. And then you have like God like also saying like, yeah, I know it's not great the situation, but I support you and it's the way it is, and you're not alone in all of this, but I see what's happening here. I see the frustration, I see what's happening here. And then you have as our next card, which is very fascinating, we see a manifestation. So something like God on the one hand is like, yeah, I acknowledge what is happening, but something is manifesting somehow. So something is manifesting, something is becoming physical on earth. So something is happening currently. And we have Luwata the wild. So there is something about this, whatever this is, this could be like some kind of manifestation, kind of momentum. It's going to be quite fast, quite like lots fast momentum. So this manifestation is about to hit Earth, and it's going to be fast momentum that you're going to be seeing. Maybe also because you are supported by God, and like the King of Pentacles usually is also someone who is financially stable, right? So you could see that as you are supported by God, and you are about to see some kind of a manifestation that is going to be quite momentous, you could say, quite fast, has a lot of momentum to it. So whatever this may be, maybe God is going to fix things. I don't know what's going to happen. Something is going to happen. And I'm also starting to realize that, I don't know, I don't know if I should talk about this or not. Let's just see what happens. And then underneath that, we have a Ponaswal dollar, which is kind of interesting because this is a card of suppression. Suppression, gloominess, doom. So you're supposed to be sad about the future because this makes me think about like a gooey future, right? Like when you're supposed to be depressed, you're supposed to be suppressed, and especially as it relates to your future, like just be sad about it, about this future. And I literally was like, I can't be bothered. I'm just gonna buy this stuff and I don't care. I literally don't care. So, so it could have something to do with that maybe there is a suppressive force that would like to see you unhappy, especially as it pertains to the future, that you would be looking at the future and being like, oh man. And then you have the Singer of Courage. Let's see, Singer of Courage, which usually talks to me about a transition. Maybe Satan is seeking to transition you into the state of suppression, of sadness, of low vibration, looking about the future in a sad kind of way, like Satan would like to put you in that kind of state, I think. And but it seems like God has other plans based on these first three cards, right? That is a fast momentum kind of manifestation, something hitting Earth and hitting Earth fast. So this is you could also see it as a green light from the universe, something manifesting to create a green light from God, quite literally. So maybe God is giving the green light to something happening. Like God is supporting you, is seeing what you're going through, but something is going to change, I think. Or maybe God wants to say, like, look at the momentum that is happening, or the manifestation that is about to hit Earth, some kind of thing you're going to start seeing physically, whatever it may be. Something is happening. And then you have the fairy was kissed by the pixies. So this is very much like being cherished, being loved by God, and also by the spiritual realm and such. Like being also just literally being in that. I'm getting chills, so that's what it is. Like being in this super high vibrational kind of energy, and like you're in this super vibrational, high vibrational kind of energy, and it's going to cause things. I think I'm starting to think that there may be a reason why Satan does not want me to ever be in my own energy completely, and especially in terms of being relaxed or like I there is some kind of a potential, like the last message said, that I would be tapping into otherwise, and that I'm not supposed to be dreaming. Like Satan doesn't want me to dream. He doesn't want me to envision. Doesn't want me to see the longer path ahead, and especially to make me to have me see above the obstacles that are on this path right now. And like he doesn't want me to relax. He wants to imprison me, like all kinds of things. So, and then you have the Tree of Wands, which is a card of vision, right? Also of manifestation as well. So something is about to be created, I think. And there's something here about, oh, me or something. Maybe she's looking like that. I don't know. Like, oh, poor me. Um, could this be be theatrical self pity? I have no idea. I'm not feeling that. But she looks a little bit like theatrical self pity, right? And also that everyone is, or you could just see it as like everyone assisting her because they're like which would align with this card much more. And I'm not really feeling the self pity, so I'm assuming that it's much more the idea of like everyone like starting to help out or something. So this vibration perhaps the same color dress, right? So it could be that this vibration maybe causing like a lot of people to start assisting you. um could be something about that. And then you have jokes and teasing each other. So in this case, it actually I think relates to the message from yesterday that was never posted, and it has to do with like it was um I don't know if it's the same in English, like Bert and Ernie, like the like one that when Ernie says like Bert, Bert, you've got a banana in your ear. And Bert is like, "What are you saying? What are you saying?" And then he takes off this banana out of his ear, and he's like, "I can't hear you because I have a banana in my ear." So it's kind of like stating the obvious. There's something about that this is talking about stating the obvious, because yesterday it was talking about that this is stating the obvious, and I was like experiencing demonic warfare, and it was like obvious to me, and also it's like literally said, obviously this is happening. Like, how could it be any other way? Like, obviously. So anything that was happening, stupid stuff that was happening, like every time I said, like obviously this is happening. So it is a correlation with that idea. Um, and that Satan is trying to like just keep me working, 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 so that I would never relax, pretty much, because I still have like, and also the mistakes that are happening. Like the message wanted to say, like these are not mistakes. You know that these are not mistakes, like, and it's not a conspiracy theory or storytelling or whatever like that. It's like stating the obvious, and it also was talking about that it shows your true identity, that Satan sees right. It's as though you are transparent to Satan, and Satan looks right through it and sees your true identity. And there's something about that as demonic warfare is showing your true identity. Perhaps it is and it was talking about like this stubborn fight between you and Satan. It just won't stop. And it was also talking about like an ancient stubborn fight between you and Satan, and it actually is revealing your true identity in terms of identity that is beyond personality, that is talking about this ancient destined path, and um and like you need to chop away like these obstacles on your path, and because you're so much dealing with removing the obstacles on your path, you're not really you can't really focus elsewhere. You can't really focus in terms of dreaming perhaps. And like also financially, Satan is making it very difficult for me to dream, because you can't really dream if the finances are not there to make that a reality, you could say, if you're still struggling with all this stupid stuff. So it could have something to do with that, perhaps. But demonic warfare is like stating the obvious, perhaps. Maybe it's talking about that. And but your assistance, heavenly assistance, may be also stating the obvious, perhaps, as well. So that this would be causing assistance. There, I don't know what this means, but there is something about this. Let's just see what the top to bottom gives. So we have like God saying like, yeah, I know what it is. I know the situation isn't amazing. You are being suppressed. I'm seeing how you are being suppressed here. I'm seeing what's happening here. But it is what it is, and I do support you, even if you are being suppressed. And then you have like this manifestation hitting Earth, and then you get sadness. So maybe also that's literally what was happening. Like there was momentum, perhaps. So you could also talk about that. That there was momentum. There was things were starting to come together, and like now all of it is making you sad, perhaps, right? So it's making you down, it's making you sad. Maybe the future is making you sad. Maybe God is also acknowledging, like, I see it. Um, I see what's happening here. And then you have Loatlas the Wild, which is like Arnold Whitaker Bonnet, fast momentum, green light from God, like, and then we have like this transition, courage. Maybe it could also be that this makes me think about Satan, right? So this side of the equation, this is God. So what is Satan transitioning you into? That's the question here. He is transitioning you into something, but I don't know what he is transitioning you into. And it was also talking about that this destined path was quite mysterious as well in this previous message. The destined path was quite mysterious. Why these obstacles were there was also quite mysterious, you could say. Let's see. And then at like at the bottom of the deck, like what just laid there, you have Mike the Myomancer, but it's reversed. So usually this is the devil in the detail, criticism. So maybe the criticism is going to stop, which I've also noticed, which I don't find positive. So what you might notice, and I'm quite wary about it, is that Satan may be changing tactics. That currently he may be saying to his minions that things are amazing while they actually aren't amazing. So you need to trust your gut as it relates to this. So it could be talking about that because I have an inclination that Satan is has changed warfare in some kind of way like that. I'm very wary of people being all positive about creations that I do not stand behind myself. So I don't believe them, and it's I think this could be demonic warfare, so be careful about that. So if all of a sudden you see, because that would be the reverse, right? If you all of a sudden would see like people aren't critical of me anymore, you might want to be like, this is suspicious, because it might actually be suspicious. And it could also talk about if you want to see it differently. If the devil is not in the detail, then the devil may be in the larger picture, right? So, which may be talking about that Satan is quite obvious currently, and that it is quite undeniable that it is Satan that is causing demonic warfare. So, it could be that Satan is literally everywhere, perhaps, or that Satan is not about the details, that Satan is all about the bigger picture, sabotaging the bigger picture, which would make a lot of sense too. And then you have the spiritual strength card reversed. So could it be talking about that message about eating and such? Maybe, because this does talk to me about like when you are doing a lot of energetic work, that you need to be strong, right? Physically strong. And like this was like what I like nowadays I don't have to do this anymore, but in the past I always had to eat like a lot, big food like afterwards, because it took a lot of energy to do heavy spiritual work, you could say, when I was giving messages. So so maybe it has something to do with that Satan wants you to skip meals, perhaps, or because there was a message about, in terms of prophecy, about that Satan is hoping that you will get malnourished in some kind of way to weaken you, quite literally. Um, so it could pertain to that, perhaps. What else could it pertain to? Maybe you are not doing a lot of energetic work. Would be the reverse of not doing a lot of energetic work. And maybe because you're in this vibration. And that's maybe why you're not really doing very much energetic work, perhaps. And then you have the Ace of Swords, which makes me think about that woman with the gloves, the queen that is going to be taking off her gloves and like getting to business, right? Going like a queen that takes off her lace gloves to be like, okay, I'm going to get down and dirty. So it could be that you're putting on your gloves again and you're not going to get down and dirty. So maybe the queen is doing the opposite, perhaps. So this the queen, in terms of a metaphor, the queen might be saying, "No, I'm putting on my lace gloves again, and I'm not going to get down and dirty. I'm not going to um, fight you, perhaps. I'm be not going to be doing this or something like that." And she is seems to be chopping up um, a flower. It seems purple flower, purple rose. So maybe she is not like a rose makes me think about smelling the roses, so enjoying the world through the senses, being very much present, enjoying life, and that being sadness. So maybe because purple makes me think about sadness, so it could be that she's maybe saying no more sadness, peep sadness. I'm going to be enjoying myself. I'm not going to be sad about this. So I'm going to be a queen, put on my lace gloves, and put up a fight, perhaps, but more in the sense like I'm going to be enjoying myself. And there is something about enjoying yourself, relaxing. There's something that Satan does not want you to relax, because if you were to relax, you would be tapping into your potential. So, quite likely, when you would relax, when you would enjoy life, something is going to happen where you are not doing energetic lifting. You're not doing the heavy energetic lifting. You're doing the uh, the being blessed kind of, blessed and supported kind of. Your vibration would do the work, I think. I think your vibration would do the work, and you would not have to get down and dirty. You would not have to. Things would be completely different, I think. I think the queen is putting on her lace gloves again. Is she standing by truth? Is she starting to understand the truth of things? It could be. There is something happening here. I'm not sure what this is talking about, but yeah. Okay, let's see what the Bible says. Okay, let's see. So I'm looking at Psalm 35 and 36. On this page is also Psalm 32, 33, and 34. So let's see. Hmm. I'm immediately being also with glee, gloom doom glee. I'm looking at Psalm 35, verse 15. But when I stumbled, they gathered in glee. The assailants gathered against me without my knowledge. They slandered me without ceasing. Like the ungodly, they maliciously mocked. They gnashed their teeth at me. How long, Lord, will you look on? Rescue me from their ravages, my precious life from these lions. I will give you thanks in the great assembly. Amongst the tongues I will praise you. Do not do not let those gloat over me who are my enemies without cause. Do not let those who hate me without reason maliciously wink the eye. They do not speak peaceably, but devise false accusations against those who live quietly in the land. They sneer at me and say, Aha, aha, with your own eyes we have seen it. Lord, you have seen this. Do not be silent. Do not be far from me, Lord. Awake and rise to my defense. I definitely feel that. Awake and rise to my defense. Contend for me, my God and Lord. Vindicate me in your righteousness, Lord my God. Do not let them gloat over me. Do not let them think, Aha, just what we wanted, or say, We have swallowed him up. May all who gloat over my distress be put to shame and confusion. May all who exalt themselves over me be clothed with shame and disgrace. May those who delight in my vindication shout for joy and gladness. May they always say, The Lord be exalted, who delights in the well-being of his servant. My tongue will proclaim your righteousness, your praises all day long. So it could be talking about that you're asking God to intervene, that you do not want this to happen. Okay. Instead of giving the world a truthful alibi, so this is outwitting the devil, right? Instead of giving the world a truthful alibi, he gave it the world's best low-priced automobile, and the world gave him a fortune. Non-drifters are like that. They have an uncanny way of surmounting obstacles and mastering opposition. That's interesting. They have an uncanny way of surmounting obstacles and mastering opposition, no matter in what form it may appear. That is one reason why I have no non-drifters among my earthly allies. They build instead of destroy. Is a non-drifter born with some mental, physical, or spiritual advantage not available to the drifter? Like the questioner asks, right? So the questioner asks, is the non-drifter born with some mental, physical, or spiritual advantage not available to the drifter? And Satan says, no. The major difference between the drifter and the non-drifter is something equally available to both. It is simply the prerogative right of each to use his own mind and think for himself. The non-drifter exercises this right, the drifter does not. That is all there is to distinguish between the two, and I'm getting chills. You understand, of course, I am speaking of people born with normal bodies and brains. Those who come into the world with physical afflictions may become drifters through no fault of their own. Physical afflictions which do not weaken the brain need not force one to become a drifter. Many people with such afflictions have achieved noteworthy success in occupations of their own choosing. Is the not then the questioner, is the non-drifter a handicap to the drifter? Is a non-drifter a handicap to the drifter? Then Satan answers, he may be, where their interests clash and they are in competition with one another, but more often the non-drifter aids rather than hinders the drifter he influences. That's interesting, right? So more often than not, the non-drifter aids rather than hinders the drifter he influences, which is exactly what is happening, right? Like actually the criticism is helping me. So again, take Henry Ford as an example and observe that he supplies profitable employment and a source of livelihood to many thousands of people, most of whom belong in the drifting class. Most of whom belong in the drifting class. Let's see. So you may be changing, like whatever is coming your way. It is very biblical in a sense, right? Like whatever comes your way, that it turns out for your good, that you if you see it as the obstacle to the way is the way, if you keep on thinking like that, no, this isn't an obstacle, this is the way, the obstacle is the way, I'm just not seeing it, but this obstacle is the way, and you are looking at like everything that Napoleon Hill was saying about that there is an equal and opposite advantage to every negative thing, or however he puts it, that's very biblical in a sense. So the non-drifter will aid rather than hinder the drifter he influences. It will actually help you out. So if there are drifters around you, oh, I'm reading it wrong, but I'm reading it like that. So I think it is a message. I see it as those who are drifters, they are actually helping non-drifters by influencing them. It's actually helping them out. So I think that what God wants to say is like these people are not hindering you, they are actually helping you out, but they don't realize that they are helping you out because he may be where their interests clash and they are in competition with one another, but more often the non-drifter aids rather than hinders the drifter he influences. So I see it as you should change the words non-drifter and drifter in this sentence so you get he may be where their interests clash and they are in competition with one another, but more often the drifter aids rather than hinders the non drifter he influences. That's how I'm reading it. So I think this is actually positive. Whatever is happening, it is going to be positive because just like Napoleon Hill would say that there's an equal and opposite advantage to every disadvantage, God would say that is very biblical because that is like that everything will turn out for good, for your good, for those who love God, right? So everything that is negative will turn out to be positive because God is going to make it positive, whatever is happening. So whatever Satan is doing to you is going to turn out positive. That's how it works. So because you are a non-drifter, you belong to God, right? Like even Satan in this book says that that if you don't belong to him, like you belong to the opposition, and the opposition is God. And he, like, if you would see the one he influenced, like his minions would be the drifters, I guess, in the context of this book, and like the non-drifters would be those he cannot influence because they belong to God, right? So you can't influence them. So could have something to do with that. That God is saying, like, I am helping you out, but you are not seeing that I'm helping you out here. Like it is going to turn out for your greater good. So like yeah. So don't worry about it. Let's get this one out of there. Still don't feel it. Ah, here it is. The fable. Nonsense, of course, he said. The wizard, the school is has been searched multiple times over by the most learned witches and wizards to see if there indeed is such a chamber, but it has never been found, which is kind of interesting because God was talking about a chamber within yourself that is ready to be accessed somehow. So I think wizards, witches, like Satan has looked and looked and looked if there would be such a chamber, but he has come to the conclusion that he has not found anything. So he thinks the chamber is not there, but the chamber is there, I think. Whatever the chamber may mean in terms of what there's like a chamber in a gun that can be loaded at any time. And there was something about like a film roll that can be detached or attached based and it will never see like it is protected from light ruining the film, right? So as long as the film roll remains unshot, like it remains protected, it is not seen. So I do think that Satan is unaware of this chamber. He has not come across, and but he has searched and searched and searched and has not found this chamber, the secret chamber within you. But it is there. It does exist. I think it is but a tale, but a fable for gullible people to scare them. Hermione had raised her hand again. Professor, what do you mean exactly with the gruel it contains? That it would be some kind of monster, that it would be the heir of Slytherin, that that only the heir of Slytherin can control, said Professor, I don't know what he's called, with his dry and thin voice. So could it be that that you are the heir of something, and that there is some kind of secret chamber within you that only you can control because you are the heir? Could be the case. Um, the students looked at each other very nervously. I do tell you that there is no such thing. And he is like, while he is like going through his notes, there is no such thing. Um, see. There is no chamber and there is no monster. The professor said to Simon Philister, if the chamber can only be opened by the heir of Slytherin, wouldn't it be logic that no one else can actually find it? So this could be that Satan cannot find this, cannot access this, because it does not belong to Satan, perhaps. It is not, it could be that this only belongs to the heir. The rightful heir is the only one who has this chamber, perhaps. I don't know. There is something here. Nonsense. So Satan cannot find this. Nonsense, said the professor, very agitated. If a long if a long series of headmasters has not been able to find this space, maybe you would have to use dark magic in order to open it, said Parvati Patil. Only because a wizard is not using dark magic does not mean that he can't use it, Mrs. Pasquill, said Professor said this professor to her. I repeat, wizards like Dumbledore, maybe you have to be maybe you have to be a descendant of Slytherin, and maybe that's why Dumbledore couldn't, said Thomas. But the patience of the professor was running dry. Enough, he said sharply. It is a myth. This chamber does not exist. There is not the slightest of proof that Slytherin even had a secret broom closet, or ever built a secret broom closet. It's like it's just a myth, right? I regret that I have told you such a foolish story, and let us now preoccupy ourselves with history again, with the unrefutable, believable, and controllable facts. And not 5 minutes later, the whole class was staring into the distance with a glaze in their eyes. So I do think there is something about that there is something within you, and I see it as there is a part of me that God is protecting at all costs. There's something about a part of me that is cloaked, you could say, that is cloaked by God and cannot be seen by this world. And the moment it isn't cloaked, miracles happen, I think. Something, and miracles that could be huge, right? I think there is something like that. Other people would say that this is a myth, but it's not a myth, I think. Just like yesterday was talking about that you are transparent to Satan, that what for Satan something is obvious, what is something for Satan something is obvious, something is transparent. He can see right through you. You can see it was like some kind of figure on a throne. He can see right through it. It is obvious to Satan. maybe there is some kind of, is there a side of you that you are not accessing, some kind of magical side to you that you are not accessing, but that doesn't mean that it is not there. You could say it is just hidden, it is tucked away, but it doesn't mean that it's not there. So it could be that there is, that this side of you perhaps is there, is in a secret chamber within your spirit perhaps, and it can be accessed and attached at any moment. Like it is ready to be accessed, I guess. And it can only be accessed by the rightful heir, I think, because that's kind of like this message here, right? That it can only be accessed by the rightful heir, and there could be something about that there is some kind of a magic within you, some kind of miraculous ability. There is something within you, I think, and Satan can see right through it, I think. And I think Satan is stopping you from accessing this power because there was something about if you were to relax, you would be tapping into this potential. Like you would have, this would cause possibilities, this would cause potential, and Satan is adamant to make sure that you do not get to that state. So I do think like whatever, like Satan sees something within you that he doesn't want you to access pretty much. And it cannot be accessed by anyone, but like it's almost like a myth, but the myth is real. And that was talking about that people just think this is storytelling, that it is conspiracy theory, like the realm of the conspiracy theories, right? Where nobody, where it would be just a myth. It would be like a conspiracy theory. It would, and I thought it was talking about that it that demons are real. That would be like stating the obvious. I interpret it like this. But as I'm looking at this chamber and such, maybe it was talking about that what is obvious to Satan may not be obvious to you, but it's not a myth because it's talking about this, because that message was talking about myths, and that it would only be like it's like a fairy tale, a fable, right? A fable, a fairy tale that would only be a myth, that it belongs to the conspiracy theory thing, like that people don't believe this exists or something. Like whatever it is that is potentially inside of you, I think Satan, for Satan, this is obvious. Like he can see right through it. It's like you are transparent to him. And he's seeking to stop you from tapping into that potential, from accessing that secret chamber. And Satan has not found the secret chamber. He doesn't know how to access it because it doesn't belong to Satan. He's not the rightful heir. So he can't access this. He can't find it either. It is locked away. And as I was connecting, it was how do I access uh, more of this? I was asking like, how do I access more of this? That that these things like import fees just don't apply to me. That I can make that happen more often, right? That and I know that there is a side of me that as soon as that activates, that it causes that. So how do I access that? And there is something related to Satan talking, like making this connection between relaxation, like the demonic warfare is showing that it has something to do with relaxation because Satan doesn't want me to relax. So it makes sense that it has to do with relaxation. And this particular side of me only activates while being in a relaxed state, I think. So I do connect these two. Like when I'm completely relaxed, this does tend to happen. So, but I don't think I understand the, like I always call it like the happy happy joy joy magic, but I think it's way more powerful than what I have already seen thus far pretty much. I think more is possible here. There is this is just like tapping, like scratching the surface or something. I don't know. So I'm wishing you a very beautiful day ahead, and bye bye.